To be or not to be, that is the question. Hi, I'm Helen Sword. This is Helen's Word, and that famous question about questioning comes, of course, from Hamlet's soliloquy in Shakespeare's play. For today's Wordcraft Workout, we're going to focus on the pros and cons of using the verb to be or not to be in our own writing. For this exercise, you'll need a sample of your own writing, several pages long, preferably printed out in hard copy so that you can mark it up with colored pencils or highlighters. So gather your materials, and when you're ready, let's put your writing through a workout. We're going to start with a passage not from Shakespeare, but from Charles Dickens' novel, A Tale of Two Cities. As I read it aloud, I'm going to highlight all the forms of be. So that's is, was, are, were, be, been, and been. Here goes. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. Was, were. That's 12 be verbs in a single phrase, and we haven't even got to the end of the sentence yet. Now, if we put this passage through my writer's diet test for fit or flabby prose, here's the diagnosis we get: heart attack. But then a few paragraphs later in Dickens' novel, we find this amazing passage. And as I read it, I'm going to emphasize and highlight all the active verbs. France, less favored on the whole as to matters spiritual than her sister of the shield and trident, rolled with exceeding smoothness downhill, making paper money and spending it. Under the guidance of her Christian pastures, she entertained herself besides with such humane achievements as sentencing a youth to have his hands cut off, his tongue torn out with pincers, and his body burned alive, because he had not kneeled down in the rain to do honor to a dirty procession of monks which passed within his view at a distance of some 50 or 60 yards. Not a be verb in sight. Instead of telling us that the political situation in pre-revolutionary France was grim, Dickens lets his verbs do all the work. He draws an unspoken parallel to Marie Antoinette by personifying France as a heartless queen who entertained herself with grim spectacles of cruelty and torture. And that extraordinary image of France rolling with exceeding smoothness downhill prefigures all the heads that we know will soon be rolling into baskets from the guillotine. So there's nothing wrong with sprinkling a few be verbs through your writing. They're very useful, sometimes even necessary, like starch in our diet or white socks in our wardrobe. But forms of be can also be a sign of verbal laziness, indicating that you're not committing enough time or effort to revving up your writing and engaging your reader with really vivid, energetic verbs. So now it's your turn to choose a paragraph of your own writing and highlight all the forms of be. If you are like most academic or professional writers, you'll probably find at least a few and possibly quite a lot of be verbs. Now, if that is indeed the case, I'd recommend that you try to rephrase at least, let's say, half of your sentences to use active, interesting verbs instead, verbs that make things happen. This doesn't have to be a painful task. Picture yourself as a magician transforming inert objects into living creatures. If you want to learn more about the power of active verbs, you'll find many more examples and exercises in my books, The Writer's Diet and Stylish Academic Writing, as well as in some of the other videos on this channel. Please remember to subscribe, tell all your friends about the channel. Thanks for showing up to write, and I'll see you next time.